Today we're going to talk about building strong shoulders, and I want to give you another little reframe too to think about as you get into your physical practice. Maybe you're trying to build muscle, maybe trying to lose some weight, whatever, feel good. The point is that any excuse you might have is actually, if you flip it around, might be the reason why you have to take action. And I'll give you an example. My rotator cuff, I accidentally tore it off the bone a couple years ago, and it was a very, very painful injury, set me back a long time. I'm still not fully recovered. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that if I didn't do the work to rehab the shoulder, if I didn't do the physical therapy, if I didn't do the strength training on top of the physical therapy, my shoulder aches, it hurts. So now I have this injury that sometimes, in one frame of light, I could look at it as something that's holding me back. Now it's the signal for me to move forward. Now I'm using it as a reminder of why I have to take the action step. And on that shoulder, if you've had rotator cuff surgery, or you've torn your rotator cuff and you chose not to have surgery for whatever reason, you're gonna have a lot of shoulder capsule stiffness. And I'm not gonna make this an anatomy lesson, but there's two really simple and effective ways to begin to address that. It does take time and it does take patience. Number one is doing soft tissue work on the pec and pec minor. You could do that with the lacrosse ball or my hands. I've been getting a lot of mileage out of doing tissue release work just with one hand. Do that for about 45 seconds per side for symmetry. We'll talk about maybe in a later video on why what happens to one shoulder might happen to the other, even if it doesn't have an injury, but we'll get there. So you release the tissue, and then on the posterior capsule side, your scapula right here, your shoulder blade, it also needs to be released. So you can get a lacrosse ball and set it against a wall, and then you lean right against that lacrosse ball and basically pin that shoulder blade in place and then glide the humerus across the body. So I'll lean against a wall or a bench, pin it in place, and then I'll just guide that humerus across the body so that my shoulder doesn't move, or my shoulder blade doesn't move. And what will happen is I'll loosen up that shoulder capsule, and that will allow me to recruit and properly execute external rotation, internal rotation, without chicken winging and looking all crazy. So, simple strategy, soft tissue work, pain, and then a reframe. The motivation to take the action might actually be what you once thought was an excuse.